All right, greetings in the matchless name of Aman Ra, the unseen God. Anyway, um, I just want to talk to y'all for a minute about something that's really been on my mind, and it's really been on my mind for a long time, ever since the rapper, hip hop artist Nipsey Hustle passed away. And well, he didn't pass away; he was shot by another black man. I'm gonna be brutally honest. And if you don't like this, like what I'm saying or whatever, please, you need to tune out because I'm about to go in on this. All right. Here's the thing. There is an agenda. There is a clear-cut agenda by the powers that be to basically take the masculinity and the knowledge and the wisdom of the black man away. And Nipsey Hussle was just a part of that. Nipsey Hussle is not a hero. Nipsey Hussle is not a martyr. Nipsey Hussle is a gangbanger. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to make black men ascend to becoming gangbangers. Why? And let me just prove, before you get mad, let me prove my point. What's been in the news lately? First of all, nobody knew Nipsey Hussle. Nobody. I mean, I never heard of the guy, and I'm a music dude. All right. And I love music. And I was in the music industry. I was a DJ for years and years and years and years, even before, even before all the original rap stuff came out. Okay. So I know what I'm talking about. Nipsey Hussle didn't have a number one record. I don't care. And all his music was bought up by Jay-Z, and a couple of other rappers went and bought all his music. They basically pulled a Beatles. That's exactly how the Beatles got started. The Beatles didn't sell any records. They went and they bought all their records. They had a millionaire go out and buy their records. And when people saw that they had sold so many copies, then all of a sudden they got to be in the mix. Here's the thing. If I don't, I mean, come on. Nobody knew who this guy was. Dr. Claude Anderson, he was on, what is his name? Boyce Watkins interviews him pretty much once a week. And so Boyce Watkins asked him, what do you think about the economic program about Nipsey Hussle? And he's like, I don't know the guy. I don't know who he is. I don't know nothing about him. The only thing I know is I know Nipsey Russell, who he stole the name from, who was a comedian back in the day, and in fact, really good comedian. I remember Nipsey Russell. I don't know Nipsey Hussle, and I got teenagers. I got a bunch of teenagers in my house, and when I asked them about him, nobody knew who he was. And I'm talking about, and they listened to hip hop music. Okay, so now the next thing is he never had. Now I can understand. Don't get me wrong. I can understand the whole Tupac and the whole Biggie thing, but Biggie had hits. Tupac had hits. This guy never had a hit. But guess what? They go and then they name what? They name a city block or whatever area in his neighborhood after him. And then just recently, if you've been watching, they named an area in Brooklyn, New York. They named it after Biggie. Okay, so now I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, but Jay-Z, and then they come on, and then now Jay-Z is a billionaire. Forbes magazine declares Jay-Z a billionaire. Now they're the ones who declared him a billionaire. No, so I guess they're counting his money. They're his accountant or whatever. Okay, and then in like a couple of days later, then they do an article talking about all of the billionaires or all the millionaires that are in hip hop or in rap music. All right. So what does this do? It's detrimental to the black man. How is it detrimental to the black man? It's detrimental to the black man because people are now thinking that the only way, the young kids out there on the street, they're thinking that the only way I can become a millionaire or a billionaire is what? Is that I do gangster rap music. And this gangster rap music is detrimental to our culture. Why is it detrimental to our culture? Because they call women B's and H's, and they say the N-word, which is a curse over our people. Y'all don't realize spiritual warfare runs deep. The names that you call each other, the things that you do. And I've been making a conscious look. The N word used to be my thing, but I'm telling you, you got to make a conscious effort to try to change that around. Why? Because it is a curse over us. Because that word, when you say, remember, the things that you speak, the things that you say, the things that you speak, they become real. They manifest. Those are affirmations. You are affirming. When you constantly are calling women B's and H's over and over and over again, and now you got young women that accept that, and then they push images like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj in front of you constantly, and young women believe that that's the way that they are supposed to act, and they're not. They're queens. Those are your queens, and you're disrespecting them. And you're treating them, and I realize that everybody, is not virtuous. I understand that, but still, they believe because that's the popular thing that if I call a woman a B or a H, or if I'm a woman and I dress provocatively and the only thing I know how to do is twerk, I mean everything is, how well do you twerk or how well do you do this, and then now it's coming down to our women are over sexualized. And it don't matter. And the whole thing about color and everything, that don't matter. The bottom line is that you can't keep on continuing these generational curses that people have placed upon our race. That's what it is. The N word, the B word, the H word, all of those words. Remember, as a man thinketh, so is he. As a man thinketh, so is he. Write the vision, write it down, spell. What do words come through? You spell them out. Spell. What is a spell? You see, and you don't realize spiritually how deep this runs. It runs deep spiritually. And so eventually, it's like that. It's like the thing. You send a person to the back door long enough, eventually they go to the back door on their own. Because it's a spiritual thing. It becomes ingrained and embedded into their psyche. And you can't get rid of it. And so that's what they're trying to do right now. They're trying to pump up all of these hip hop millionaires and billionaires and whatever, and then they got a beef, Dr. Dre's got a beef with Jay-Z because Dr. Dre says I was the first billionaire and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And that's another thing. We got to get rid of this attitude of having beef. Look at all the shows that come on, VH1 and MTV and BET, all those shows that come on those channels. What do? They're making us fight one another. We're on TV. We got black women on TV fighting each other like they dogs in the street. That's part of the programming. They are mentally and spiritually programming you on a continuous basis. You are being programmed so that you think that that's right. And then the same thing. And they've been doing this for years. This is nothing new. It's been happening for years. The same thing with black men thinking that the only way that I can get out of poverty is either by selling drugs, right? Being a drug dealer, being a rapper, or being an athlete. And those are the only three ways that we see out. And those are the only people that they show you in the mass media. They don't show you. And when Robert Smith paid off everybody's debt, student loan debt, in the Morehouse class of 2019. And then he was criticized, saying that sets a bad example. He was actually criticized. I saw an article criticizing him about, how are these guys going to learn responsibility if you pay off their debt for them? But he's a true philanthropist. He actually gave the money up, whereas, and all these other people, they show all this stuff. And just like before or after Prince died, and people found out that Prince was paying off people's stuff constantly, all during the time he was alive. So we don't, you don't have to make a grandstand, but it seems like every time one of these rappers or, do something, then they have to show this, big drawn out thing. And if you think about it, okay, so they give Nipsey Hustle this section of his neighborhood and put his name up on the street signs, and the same thing with Biggie. But guess what? Do you know how long it took for us to get Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard? I mean, he's, and I'm not saying Martin was perfect, but what I'm saying is, but he was an icon, and he was beloved by the people. But they wouldn't make his birthday into a national holiday or give him streets in cities. It took years to make that happen. But how is it that this dude dies and then a week later they already had a basketball court with his picture on it and all this kind of stuff? And then and because I'm coming from a spiritual standpoint, let me explain to you about the marathon. That whole phraseology of the marathon continues is demonic. Okay? And it shows the checkered flag is depicting the Masonic and the Luciferian idea of pitting good against evil and all of those things, life, death, etc., opposites, duality. That's what it symbolizes. And remember, and I keep saying this, the marathon runner at the end of the marathon, he died. He died. And they had killed innocent people. They had killed innocent people. So spiritually, it is a curse. Spiritually, it is a curse. It is not a blessing. None of this stuff is a blessing. And opening a t-shirt shop in your neighborhood is not going to bring your neighborhood up out of poverty. And then let's talk about Robert Smith again, who's a billionaire, who's a self-made billionaire, who didn't play basketball, who didn't play an instrument, who didn't dance and sing, who didn't do any of that stuff, right? But they don't want to pump him up. They don't, and the other thousands, there are literally thousands of millionaires, thousands of black millionaires, thousands of black millionaires, and there are more black billionaires. There are black billionaires, but they don't put them on TV and they don't show them to you, and they don't show you what their career path was or what their path was to success, because they don't want you to do that, because they know if you make gangster rap, guess what? You are going to be a detriment to the community. And that's what they want. That is psychologically what they want. Because if you're a young kid and you sitting up there, Jay-Z got $1 billion. Whoa, man, I'm going to go make a rap now. And the next thing, what is he doing? He's purveying out that Pied Piper thing that and I tell y'all, look, there was a lady back in the day, C. Dolores Tucker, and C. Dolores Tucker was telling us about the detriments of the gangster rap. And they created the gangster rap in order to keep us enslaved and keep us down. And I mad respect to everybody, but everybody in our race that is successful for the most part now, they're all involved in gangster rap. They're all involved in things that are detrimental and harmful to the community. They're not doing good. They're really not. And when you think about it, think about all the people who are at the top. Think about all the people who are making all that money. And they're not self-made. They have handlers, people that are controlling their careers and are controlling things, because if you look behind the scenes, there's always somebody else that's pulling those puppet strings. There's always somebody else pulling those puppet strings. So don't believe the hype. Stop believing the hype. You cannot keep on doing it. Nipsey Hustle, he was a Crip, and they're glorifying selling drugs. All of these guys were drug dealers, and they got. So you mean to tell me the way to get your name on a sign, on a street sign nowadays, is to be a drug dealer and then turn gangster rapper, and then get shot and killed like a dog in the street? I mean, come on, y'all. That's not success. No matter how much you want to think it is, it's not success. Because all of those men are dead. They're dead. So what can they do now? Nothing. And all you're going to do is buy their records, and then somebody else's community is literally getting rich off of their labor. Somebody else is taking home money from their record sales. And the only one that's still alive is Jay-Z, and that's only because Jay-Z plays the game. And he won't stop playing the game. Right? But if he woke up one day and decided that he wanted to take all his money and put it back into the hood, he could do it. But guess what? The powers that be don't want him to do that. The powers that, he'll give a little here, give a little there, just so he'll seem like a good guy. It's just like when Nino Brown gave out the turkeys, on Thanksgiving. Oh, we'll give him a turkey and then we'll sell him drugs the rest of the year. and he was beloved. So don't be fooled. Don't believe the hype. Anyway, I got to go. That's my 15 minutes. I love you all. And peace be on to you and all your households. God bless you.